This is Jennings, and I will be talking about the regeneration of Naples for today. I will first start off by talking about a section that my group looked at within Naples, and we were looking at Via Tribulani Street that embodies elements that stood out from the rest of the streets. For my individual concept, I was inspired by the idea of underground tunnels linking tourists to past experiences, and in specific, the Museo dell'Opera di Lorenzo Maggiore, which happened to be built over a decaying section of the street, the Neapolis Barrier. The site is linked to the Napoli Sotterranea, one of the oldest tunnels in the city. And what this does is the Neapolis buried site then offers a window into the mysterious past of Naples, and it is strategically placed in a way that retains its integrity but still allows for the new world to visit its environs. And given that the city opened up the tunnels for touristic trails, it gave them a more in-depth view into how they could possibly reuse that particular space of the tunnels. And the Museo dell'Opera di Lorenzo Maggiore then becomes more than just a regular museum. It is now an experienced one where it connects to the emotional level rather than a regular museum which would just house art and paintings that you would see on walls. When considering a location for redevelopment, I considered some of the works from different urban theorists, namely Walter Benjamin, Aldo Rossi, and Gustavo Giovanni. Walter Benjamin considered speciality as not being the central element when considering the urban fabric, but rather he suggested that material fabric only began to make sense when time was considered, and the aspects of time would then the aspects of time would then The aspect of time would then link back to a city's people's past experiences that are now recorded as memories. Another theorist, Aldo Rossi, in his book The Architecture of the City, he considered a city to be a collection of its people's memories as well. And when considering Naples under this theory, Naples would then be a collection of past wins and traumas such as the bombings as part of its urban fabric through memory. The last theorist I looked at was Gustavo Giovanni, and he suggested a symbiotic relationship between the existing urban heritage with the new urban redevelopment of a place. And he suggested that there would need to be no conflict when regenerating a space. And while looking at this particular spot in Naples, I decided that whatever I was going to propose would not disrupt the existing flow of the current events in Naples. And my criteria was the space had to be a dead space that had potential for redevelopment. It would not disrupt the urban fabric and would be a suitable and sustainable concept to be withheld within the city. My proposed site would then be the Acquario di Napoli, which is currently a dormant site and has been for a while, with renovation works going on for a very, very long time, and is also currently closed down due to the COVID-19 pandemic, causing many businesses within Naples to shut down as well. My proposed concept would then be that one to instill the thrill of uncertainty. How would I do this? I would regenerate the aquarium space by moving it underground and adding a new path to the tunnel Boboneco to allow for easier connection to the rest of the city. For the actual aquarium design, I would bank on the memories from the World War II era, where war soldiers and veterans, together with civilians, had to move underground, not because they wanted to, but because they had to for their own safety. The civilians and soldiers would have then been in a state of uncertainty about their future safety. The bombs on the surface could have shaken the ground from the explosions and caused the tunnels to collapse, thus burying them alive. The sense of claustrophobia and the fear of being buried alive would have plagued them on a constant basis. For the design of the proposed aquarium, it would be set within a very compact-like conditions within the cave, and this would allow visitors to the area and experience memory rather than a picture on the wall type of a system or visiting a museum. The aquarium would then have a pathway leading through it, thus allowing the aquarium to actually encave the space that the visitors would be walking through. And what this does is it would render the space to feel like it is more compact, and it would be used to emphasize the sense of uncertainty of whether the visitors to the site were safe in the space. They didn't know if this giant tank with water would collapse on them. And this is a feeling that I would have liked to liken back to the World War II era, where soldiers and civilians would be under these caves and they wouldn't know if the bombings on the surface level would then cause the tunnels to collapse or if they would be ambushed within the tunnels themselves. So yes, the aquarium then serves in this particular project as a symbol of exaggeration to exaggerate the feeling of claustrophobia and also banking on the fear of aquaphobia within this space for visitors. And with that, the regenerated area would also bring back visitors to the site. It would offer them a new experience and it would see an increase within the interest of that particular area of Naples and would then render the area regenerated. Just to explain what's going on my panel, on the very right, we see a channel of lines linking different buildings together. That would be the tunnel Bobonico. And what I wanted to do is I would like to join my particular tunnel, my project, through a tunnel to that particular area to render travel within that area easier for tourists and locals. And a few of the images that I put there is sort of like some of the things, some of the aspects of Naples' history that are embedded in its memory that would be displayed as you walked through this tunnel to get to the Tunnel Bobonico area. And so this is what I would propose for the Acquario di Napoli to be regenerated. And lastly, considering the comparison of the cities that we did, we looked at London, Calcutta, and Naples, and a few of the similarities did come up. In London and Naples, they had monumental historic buildings at the shore of the water, and this would have been because in the past, water was seen as a luxurious space, hence the building of castles, which would be Westminster for London and Castel Nuovo for Naples to be situated right close to the water, but Calcutta, which is a younger city, which is more focused on economic development of its urban region, infrastructure, and all of that, would then not pay too much attention on what they place close to the shoreline. For my second point, Kolkata had more areas of development rather than regeneration, as opposed to London and Naples, which are older cities and contain decaying parts that could then be used as a regeneration project. In conclusion, my proposed project would then be to regenerate the current Acquario di Napoli, which is very dormant at its current time, and this would hopefully make use of the porosity of the rock within the ground of Naples and thus linking it back onto the surface world. And this would hopefully see a regeneration which is sustainable coming to that particular area of Naples. Thank you for your attention.